Hey everybody, welcome to another video about the ablative case in Latin. Naturally, there are certain verbs that push the next word into the ablative case. Let's take a look at a bunch of them. We've now got so many uses for the ablative. Let's take a look at a bunch of these verbs. We have utor, which means use. This is where we get the word useful and utilize in English. We have fruor, which means I enjoy. Fungor, I perform. Potior, I possess. Karao, to lack. And egeo, I need. Let's see how some of these play out in sentences. Remember, these words push the next word, or the object, into the ablative case. I have used none of these things. This is a verse from the New Testament. Let me grab the translation right here. I have used, I have used none of these things. So we have I, which is the subject of the sentence. It's a subject pronoun, nominative case. I have used. Used is a verb. Have is the main verb. And this whole verb is in the perfect tense. I talk more about tenses in my course Visual Latin, which you can find at visuallatin.com or compassclassroom.com. None. Oops, that should be none, not non. I have used none of these things. So now we have none, which really is the accusative in the sentence, and then of these things is a genitive prepositional phrase. Which things? These things. However, because of the word used, which pushes the next word into the ablative case, none is not going to be in the accusative case. It will actually be in the ablative case. We're going to skip the diagramming on this because I've got about 4 or 5 sentences I want to show you. So we're going to speed the process up just a little bit. So we're going to go straight to translation here. So ego. Ego means I. I have used. We'll use English word order first, and then we'll switch it into Latin word order. Ego usus sum. This is a deponent verb, so it looks like it's a passive verb, but it's actually a perfect tense active verb. It's just a deponent verb. Again, I go into more detail on different verb tenses and what exactly a deponent verb is in my course online, visuallatin.com. So, ego usus sum, I have used none of these things. Now, none, typically, because of its position in the sentence, would be in the accusative case, but because of this verb here, usus sum, it's going to go into the ablative case. Ego usus sum nullo, and then of these things, the word of these in Latin is horum, and we're actually just going to leave it at that, horum. None of these things, and we're going to use horum as a substantive here, so it stands for things. So things is understood. Okay, so now we have it in English word order. Let's switch this into Latin word order. We would have something like this. Ego nullo horum usus sum. Alright, let's take a look at another example. Use a little wine. So this is the admonition of someone in the New Testament. I think he's speaking to the Apostle Timothy, or to Timothy, and as I recall, Timothy was having some stomach issues, and so they recommended medicinal wine. Use a little wine. Now, as a command, well, why is it a command? Let's take a look at that. We have to understand. Let's see if I can move this actually. Select all. Yeah, let's move this down a little bit. So we have to understand that this is a command to someone, but the to is understood. The person is understood. So we're talking to someone, so we need to add in the understood you. You use a little wine. Subject of the sentence, you. What is he being told to do? What are you being told to do? Use, verb, use what? Wine, direct object, accusative case. Let's diagram this one quickly just so you can see how to diagram an understood you. So if you ever have a command like this, you just put the person being commanded, you put them on the subject side. You use. Use what? Wine. a little wine. A little wine. You use a little wine, and actually a is describing little, so we would attach the two. Okay, so again, this should be in the accusative case. It's not going to be in the accusative case. Why not? Because of this verb here, use. Use pushes the next word into the ablative case. Now, use is also deponent, and to make a deponent command, it actually just looks like a regular active infinitive. So, to say you use a little wine, you would just say iutere, which looks like a regular infinitive. Iutere, and then we need a little wine. This is where we get the word moderation. Morico, use a little wine. It's in the ablative because of this verb iutere. Iutere modico vino. Vinum is wine, but we changed it to vino. We put it in the ablative case because of this verb iutere. Let's put it in English. I'm sorry, this is English word order. Let's put this into Latin word order. It would probably look more like this. Modico vino iutere. Modico vino iutere. Okay, let's look at another example. The baby who lacks food cries with a loud voice. This sentence is actually from my favorite Latin book, Lingua Latina by Hans Orberg. There's absolutely nothing like that book out there if you want to learn Latin. Okay, so the subject of the sentence is baby. Subject of the sentence, nominative case. The baby does what? The baby cries, verb, cries with, preposition with what? Voice, object of the preposition. What kind of voice? A loud voice, and the whole thing is a prepositional phrase that goes into the ablative case. Let's switch colors here for the relative pronoun. Let's go to, we'll switch to a bright yellow. How about that? I hope everybody can see that. So we have here this word who. That is a relative pronoun. The relative pronoun sets off a relative clause. The clause is who lacks food. The subject of the clause is actually who. It's in the nominative case. What are we saying about who? Who lacks, verb, and what is who lack? Who lacks food. That's a direct object accusative case. What is who replacing? What's the antecedent? Who is replacing baby. So baby is the antecedent. Let's go back to our normal chalk here. Okay, and then we don't need the article adjective. Alright, so the baby who lacks food cries with a loud voice. This video is already getting long. We're going to skip the diagramming and go right to the translation. So baby in Latin is infans. That's where we get the English word infant, and also infantry, which is interesting. Infans, the baby, the infans, qui cibo. Why is it cibo? Well, it's because of this verb here, lacks. Remember, lacks is one of those verbs that puts the next word into the accusative case, or into the ablative case, right? It should be cibum. I know we haven't even gotten a lack yet. It should be cibum. It should be in the accusative case because that's its position in the relative clause. It is the direct object and it's in the accusative case. But because of this verb lacks, it's going into the ablative case. So infans qui cibo caret. There we go, right there. There's lack. Infans qui cibo caret. Infans qui cibo caret. What does the baby who lacks food do? The baby, infans qui cibo caret, magna voce vagit. So the baby cries with a loud voice. The baby cries with a loud voice. Okay, the last sentence is I enjoy leisure. I is the subject of the sentence. It's a subject pronoun, nominative case. What am I doing? I'm enjoying. Verb, what do I enjoy? Leisure. This is the direct object and should go in the accusative case. but it doesn't, and it doesn't because of this verb enjoy. Enjoy pushes the next word into the ablative case. Okay, so we could add ego, or we could leave it off if we wanted to, but ego fruror, I enjoy. Otium is leisure or a break or time off. That's otium is in the nominative case here, in the accusative case, but because it's second declension neuter. But because of the verb fruror, we're going to change it to the ablative. So let's change otium to otio. Ego fruror, otio. And honestly, in Latin order, this would probably go at the end. Ego otio fruror. And that's it, guys. You now know that certain verbs drive the next word into the ablative case. Of course, if you want to learn more about Latin, Greek, and its influence on our language, English, check out DwaneThomas.com.